the next chapter, a new flagship for a new generation of Morgan, the much anticipated Morgan Supersport. This is it. The moment is nearly here, but before we do it, I'd like to introduce you to Matthew Hole, Morgan's Managing Director. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Richard. This is a car that we've been developing for the last three and a half years. It coincides with me beginning my journey at Morgan 3.5 years ago, so this will be the first car that I'll have launched. But also there's a sense of pride amongst all the staff here in the factory, and particularly I'm proud of them for getting us here today.
This is the world's first look at the new Morgan Supersport. This is it. Roll the VT. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Morgan Supersport. Morgan's Chief Design Officer, Jonathan Wells. Hi, John.
How are you, Richard?
Mate, well done. This is sexy day for you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Really good, really good.
Heart at about 250, I'm guessing.
Yeah, something like that.
Walking out then. I mean, that is a massive moment in a career, isn't it?
I know, what a good reaction.
First time they've been seen.
We're very proud. Thank you so much.
I'm guessing from the audience reaction in here, so far it's gone well. Yeah, we're happy? It's gone well, that's good. So
far, so good.
Your job here, your role, is to lead every new Morgan all the way from concept to reality.
Yes, ultimately, Supersport has been the whole team's real passion project for quite a few years now. Whilst it's been actively in development for 3 years, we've been imagining what a successor to the Aero, our last flagship performance contemporary car in 2018, could look like. So we've been imagining different shapes and lines, and what started out primarily as a styling exercise really has become a fundamental ground-up redesign. The underpinnings of Supersport are totally reinvented. This is an iteration of our platform we call the CXV platform. It's the most capable, most dynamic. It's a lot more compliant, fun to drive, and really usable. You know, you can use this car 365 days a year. And we spent a lot of time looking at the interior cabin and where you really spend your time. We didn't want the focus to be a big screen, an LCD display in the middle. However, we recognize that technology is important. So when you do step into this car, you can connect your phone, place it on the center, it charges wirelessly. There is a full Sennheiser, I know it's...
Again, what? You can wirelessly charge your telephone in a Morgan.
In a Morgan. But it's fully connected. So we've got a totally overhauled sound system developed in Switzerland with Sennheiser. The sound quality is incredible. There's subwoofers and actuators. You can take phone calls, skip tracks.
Yeah, he does that all the time.
However, what is key for us is that isn't the center stage. It's invisible technology.
So on behalf of everyone here today, all of us and all of you, we all wish you goodbye, farewell, and thanks for joining us. It's finally here. We're at the Morgan factory here in Malvern, and there's a great fact that came out in the bit of video I was recording earlier today that, if you think about it, every Morgan ever made has been made here in this factory in Malvern, and we're here for the launch of the Supersport. And that's an important car for Malvern because it's a new flagship. It's a new, different car, a new evolution. It is the next generation of Morgan. So it's a really significant moment for this adorable car factory. It's been a great day. We had a live broadcast across the internet of the actual unveiling, and that was the actual moment when the world first saw the car. What's remarkable is that Morgan managed to keep it secret, and not only that, but I only discovered today, talking to Matt Hole, the MD, that they've been making them here in the factory, and bearing in mind that Morgan is constantly visited. People come from all over the world to visit this factory, and they were secretly in this factory making the new car behind screens, and it never leaked. So it's the first time we've shown it to the world. Also in the studio here, we had a great crowd of people. This is a mix of suppliers, journalists, die-hard Morgan fans, long-term owners, buyers, all sorts. But there's a huge passion in this room. Everybody here gets what Morgan's about. They get the joy of these quirky, handcrafted, handmade cars, built very much to order. So it's a unique atmosphere. It's great now the car is officially unveiled. We have all seen it. My first impressions, they've done a brilliant job of walking that tightrope of combining and bringing together the contemporary and the traditional. They have to be very, very careful with a brand like Morgan. It brings with it that there are 100 years of history and pedigree, and people are very precious about that. They demand that that's retained. But at the same time, it has to be a car that can work, function, and operate in the modern world with all the demands and expectations of a modern car driver. And that's very difficult, that one doesn't affect or blur the other. I'm talking to John, the lead designer. The work they've done, it was decided to keep both of those things present, the contemporary and the traditional. They haven't blurred them together. They're both highlighted in the new car. And I think they've done that very well. My passion for Morgan stems all the way back. My grandfather was a massive fan of them, and that's because he was a coach builder. And coach building is the way Morgans are built. So you have a steel or an aluminium chassis, and then you have an ash wooden frame over that to which are fixed the body panels. This is the only place you'll see that done now. So I've always loved them, and I've always loved the long bonnet, rearward cab design and feel of them. And in fact, the first new car I ever bought, back at the beginning of Top Gear, when for the first time in my life, I could afford to buy a brand new car, I came here and bought a Morgan. And I always found it funny that, wait a minute, the first new car I'm buying is built here by hand in a little factory nestling in the Malvern Hills. And that passion's been there ever since. I've owned, I don't know, 5, 6. I've got 2 at the moment. I bought my father one for his birthday many years ago, and I still have that car as well. So yeah, it stems from a place of the car being more than the purely practical and utilitarian. The car is the thing that gives us the freedom to pursue all the things we most need. And that's not just going to school or the shops or work. It can be escape, meeting people, seeing friends, getting away from it, being on your own. All of those, the car provides them. They move us physically, and therefore they move us emotionally. And I think that is encapsulated beautifully by the cars they craft here. I am, as you can tell, unashamedly a bit of a fan. I've driven, a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say everything, but a lot of cars. I think there is something about where you're sitting when you're in a Morgan, in relation to the car, the back wheels, the engine, the view down the bonnet, but also, in the case of the Supersport, the work that's gone into the chassis has been developed further for this car. The suspension, the running gear has been tuned and set up, and you can instantly feel that. It's still connective. It is talking to you. People will find out for themselves very soon. It feels unlike any other Morgan that's ever gone before. I think enthusiasts will always be fascinated by independent manufacturers like Morgan because they're independent, because they're small, because this is Morgan. It's all here in this one place. I'm a big fan of other cars. I love Porsche, Land Rover, lots of cars. But there's none that are made on the scale that are made here. Walking in this morning, early, there was a real atmosphere about the whole place. I went and said hello to the staff, and they're all in one room. You can't do that with any other car manufacturer. And that makes it more intensely personal. When you come here and see your car being built, you're seeing the people who are building it by hand. And you can't do that anywhere else. I'm always busy. I'm still running my classic car restoration workshop, The Smallest Cog, which we make a little TV show about. But it is a real workshop, so it carries on in between. We may be working on a car for Morgan, which is kind of the equivalent of the Supersport we've just seen today. It's the original Aero. When the car was first launched 25 years ago, I actually was on Granada Men and Motors back in the day. I was at the Geneva Motor Show when it was first launched, and there is a little clip of me sitting next to the car that we're restoring for Morgan. And we'll carry on doing the best work we can at the smallest cog. Got to keep the skills alive. And that's not just here, that's at little workshops all over the world.